Alright, so we got off on a detour that turned into another detour that went back to the first detour, and now we're back on the road. We're back on the highway, burning at a sweet 75. Everybody remember Jordan Peterson, right? Everybody remember this guy?
So let's start there. Why did you post those views to YouTube in the first place?
Well, there's proximate and distal reasons. The proximate reasons was because I received some correspondence from clients of mine who had been, I would say, persecuted in a variety of ways by people who were politically correct. And
you know, it's actually kind of weird to listen to this, knowing that this is in the past and everything that's going on now. It's really weird.
They sent me some documentation about Bill C-16 and the associated policy statements on the Ontario Human Rights Commission, which I read and was not very happy about.
It's like he's telling the future. It's so weird feeling.
And also because the University of Toronto decided to make anti-racism and anti-bias training, so-called anti-racism and anti-bias training, mandatory, which I regarded as an inappropriate incursion into the domain of political opinion by the university administration.
Have you taken that training yet?
No, and I don't have to yet. It's the HR department personnel that have to take it.
If they decide that you have to, will you?
No way.
Yeah, man, I had one of those HR ladies that wanted to do fucking role-playing and shit like that. And I'm like, man, first of all, we ain't got time for that. We got work to do. Like, we're working here. This is a factory. This isn't an office somewhere where everybody can just drop what they're doing and go fuck around and do trust falls for a half an hour. I'm like, no. I'm like, this shit will not happen. Tell them to grow the fuck up. Like, that was me in it, and it was offered to me. Maybe I would like to take sensitivity training. And I was like, no. I'm like, you're not even going to want me in that class. Because every time they say something that's going to be... That will be the occasion where I'm going to be the dick. That every time they say something I disagree with, I'm going to be like... Because, Jesus Christ, man. And they offered me anger management. And I'm like, you want to know how to manage my anger? Stop doing shit that pisses me the fuck off. Like, tell everybody to do their goddamn jobs around here. Like, dude, it was... Those meetings were very interesting. I wish I would have recorded those. Because, good lord, some of the shit that they proposed to me that maybe I would like to do. And I'm like, fuck you. Like, no, I don't want to do that shit. I don't want somebody to tell me that I'm wrong in this situation. Because I'm not. Like, yeah. If they told me that we had to do that shit where I'm working now, I would be like, fuck no. Like, hell no.
Well, I can tell you that I've received more letters from transsexual people supporting me than opposing me. And I never said anything really about transsexual people, about their existence, although that was the first thing that I was accused of doing. I didn't say that transsexual people didn't exist. I said that gender identity, gender expression, and biological sex do not vary independently, which they don't.
Yes, it's weird. Like I was talking about before, when you say something and somebody hears that and it gets filtered through hate speech, like, because that's just rattling around in these people's brains all the time. It's just all this hate. And then it comes out the other side as fucking you don't think trans people are real. Like, it's so annoying. Like, when it happens to you a lot, it's fucking infuriating.
And so this issue is in some sense only peripherally about transsexual issues. It's more centrally about gender issues. And then on top of that, and I think it's the biggest issue, is that it's a free speech issue.
Okay.
Yeah, it certainly is. But I don't think you guys in Canada, I don't think you guys got free speech. I mean, you certainly don't now, but I don't think you ever actually had that shit before. See, our founding fathers, we knew how important that was. Don't worry, we're trying to get rid of it too.
Basically, it's not correct that there is such a thing as biological sex. And I'm a historian of medicine. I can unpack that for you at great length if you want, but in the interest of time, I won't.
I think in the interest of not looking like a complete fucking idiot, you won't. There's no such thing as biological... And I think it's because of your degree in the history of medicine that you think that. Had you actually studied medicine of any sort...
So that's a very popular misconception.
No, that's a very popular, stupid fucking thing you guys say.
So essentially, when in my transgender studies classes...
Transgender stuff? People pay to go to transgender... What the fuck?
What we're doing is looking at actual research and identifying ways that current social issues related to trans people or things that are associated with trans, such as free speech arguments and claims, how that connects to the way that people are thinking, the way that research has been framed, the histories.
Yeah, that sounds fucking worthwhile. That sounds exactly like the class I would want my kid to take to prepare himself for the world at large. Transgender studies. Like, dude, whatever. If people want to study that shit, fine. But you don't go to an institution of higher learning. You go there to learn something to get a job. What in the fuck?
Give us some of the other pronouns that one would hear, typically.
I don't focus on pronouns because pronouns are actually part of a cis-normative culture.
Well, if you don't focus on pronouns, why the fuck do you care if somebody refuses to use your pronouns properly?
So what we do is learn about...
I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah, I was just about to explain.
Good.
So we don't start from a cis-normative perspective because that can't actually go very far.
What does cis-normative mean?
So I'm going to start us there.
Well, fucking do it!
Cis-normative is basically the very popular idea and assumption that most people probably have, and definitely that our structures convey, that there is such a thing as male and female, that they connect to being a girl or a boy or a man or a woman, and then sometimes that will also recognize intersex or trans people or transsexual people, as you mentioned.
Then what the fuck is the problem? If it recognizes you all, what do you fucking want to change it to?
Because that's sometimes also referred to as a gender binary. So anything that fits within a gender binary can work within cis-normativity.
Well, yeah. Because there really is only two. One or the other. If you say that you're not any, that doesn't change your body. Like, you're not a Ken doll. You still got working waterworks. And fucking that is... Dude, oh, this shit is just so stupid.
Well, I don't understand what the claim that there's no such thing as biological sex means. And I certainly think it's, let's call it an error.
Yeah, we'll call it an error. We'll be politically correct about it. We'll do it this one time. We'll say that it's an error. I gotta use that more often. We'll call that an error.
To suggest that there's some sort of scientific consensus about that. I mean, there's biological differences between males and females in animals and human beings at every level of analysis.
Okay, I'm jumping in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't let him go down that road too fucking far. This is actually a really good interviewer. You don't let him go down that road too far because that draws it off topic, A. And B, there is no way in hell this bald motherfucker is going to have a chance to argue against Jordan Peterson on this point. He's going to get railed, and then he's going to cry, and then he's going to leave, and then it's going to be the interview over with. So, you know, it's a very good interview. Very good.
What about the notion he put forward at the end there, that if you do not refer to people with the pronoun that they prefer to be referred to, that is a form, according to the Human Rights Commission, of discrimination?
It's not just a form of discrimination. It's a form of hate speech. That's why I made the video. I said that we were in danger of placing the refusal to use certain kinds of language into the same category as Holocaust denial, and suggested that maybe that wasn't such a good idea, especially since there's plenty of debate to be had about gender issues in our society, which I also think are also in danger of becoming illegal, and quite rapidly. So it isn't clear to me how long we'll be able to have the talk that we're having right now.
And that is probably, like, when it comes down to it, like, the creepiest fucking thing about it is that, I mean, everybody knows the SJW types. They're all so fucking basic. Like, they're so basic and predictable. But for him to say so many ways, you know, everything just so interlinked so nicely. But for him to say at the end there, I'm not even sure how much longer we're going to be allowed to have the conversation we're having right now. Well, guess what, buddy? The day is here.
Why that might have been seen as problematic by some of the students, maybe even threatening?
I don't see how someone would rationally think it was threatening. I could see how it might challenge their existing ideas, but for me, that's the spirit of the university, is challenging ideas that you already have.
So this nice young lady, who I'm madly in love with now, because she's just awesome, she got in trouble for showing pretty much what I just showed you. I imagine she showed the whole thing. I imagine what I showed you was edited. I don't know. I didn't edit it at all, other than to put me into it. But so she showed that interaction between Jordan Peterson and the other guy. She showed that in her class. Now, it was on topic. It fit the curriculum. You know what I mean? They were talking about pronouns. I think they were talking about the use of the singular they or some dumb shit like that. Which, by the way, we are going to start going to the royal we. It's me and God. We're the only ones that fucking understand anything anymore. So we are fucking very disappointed that they're discussing the singular they in a college class. Like, whatever. It fit the fucking criteria of the class. So, and she got in trouble for this. And she recorded herself being in trouble. Something that I wish I would have done so many times. So many times. And
I don't know who this came from. I would be interested to see the original complaint or complaints, because, like, I don't really have any context, like, as to what exactly their problem was.
Sorry, can I...
The thing is, can you shield people from those ideas?
Actually, yes, you can. Until you can't anymore.
Am I supposed to comfort them and make sure that they are insulated away from this? Like, is that what the point of this is? Because to me, that is so against what a university is about. So against it. I was not taking sides. I was presenting both arguments.
Okay. So the thing is about this is, if you're presenting something like this, you have to think about the kind of teaching climate that you're creating. And this is actually, these arguments are counter to the Canadian Human Rights Code.
It's just very creepy. Like, they're so basic, and it's not hard to predict that kind of shit. It really fucking isn't. But it's fucking creepy when it happens. It still just is.
Ever since, and I know that you talked about C-16, ever since this passed, it is discriminatory to be targeting someone due to their gender identity or gender expression.
Which didn't happen here. Like, that didn't happen in this case. But to him it did. Law's vague enough that that's all that matters. This is why every time you guys want to pass one of these fucking laws, I'm like, no, no.
So bringing something like that up in class, not critically, and I understand that you're trying to, like...
It was critical.
No.
I introduced it critically.
How so? Like
I said, it was in the spirit of debate.
Okay, in the spirit of the debate is slightly different than being like, okay, this is like a problematic idea that we want to unpack.
That is not slightly different. That is extremely different. There's a big difference between a debate and telling people ahead of time what they already should think. That's what Sean does. He tells you, Romy Millennial, she's one of those I'm not racist, but type of people. When you do that shit, you color the conversation a certain way. And you can't do that if you're going to have an objective debate. You can't have that. It's so mind-boggling to me that this man would even fucking say that. Like, and that's what's crazy to me. The craziest thing about it to me is that there's a guy on TV who's saying fucking there's no such thing as biological sex. And you got this guy who's stumbling, is trying so hard to make it not sound fucking stupid, because it sounds stupid when you say it. He's trying so hard. And he's still saying what he's saying, like, she's a very smart girl. You'd think they'd have put a smarter person in interviewing her. I don't know.
But that's taking sides.
Yes.
Like, it's taking sides for me to be like, oh, look at this guy. Like, everything that comes out of his mouth is BS, but we're going to watch anyway.
Okay. So I understand the position that you're coming from and your positionality, but the reality is that it has created a toxic climate for some of the students.
How many?
It's great that...
Ooh, like how many?
Okay.
One?
May I speak?
Yes, you can speak. You can speak if your next words out of your mouth are an answer to the question that I just asked you. I'm horrible in these. I'm such a dick.
I have no concept of like how many people complained, like what their complaint was. You haven't showed me the complaint.
Yes, I understand that this is upsetting, but there's also confidentiality matters.
The number of people is confidential?
Yes.
The number of people is confidential. How does that breach confidentiality? One person in this large group, this many people in this large group. If it was everybody, okay, fine, that breaches confidentiality. But if it's everybody, you kind of go, everybody. What you did was fucking wrong. You can't show bestiality porn in the fucking class. I don't care what you think the topic is. That would be something I would expect everybody was kind of like, this was fucked up. She didn't do that. She showed two people talking, exchanging ideas freely. That's problematic. Like, it's scary. It's scary to see this happening. It's very, very scary.
Yeah.
Is one or multiple students who've come forward.
Yeah, that clears it up. One or multiple.
Saying that this is something that they were concerned about and that it made them uncomfortable. You're perfectly welcome to your own opinions, but...
Well, they're fucking perfectly welcome to be uncomfortable. Fuck them. Like, shit's gonna be uncomfortable for you all the time. Some mornings I wake up and I gotta shit really bad, and it's uncomfortable. But you go take that shit. You get over it. You deal with it. It was a fucking interview on a news program, for fuck's sake.
When you're bringing it into the context of the classroom, that can become problematic. And that can become something that creates an unsafe learning environment for students.
An unsafe learning. You're challenging their ideas. And that can be considered an unsafe learning, and fucking so stupid to even... How do you not say that and then go, yeah, that sounds really dumb.
But when they leave the university, they're going to be exposed to these ideas. So I don't see how I'm doing a disservice to the class by exposing them to ideas that are really out there. And I'm sorry I'm crying.
Oh, of course you're crying, woman.
I'm stressed out because this to me is so wrong. It's so wrong.
Can I mention the gendered violence, gendered and sexual violence policy?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, please. Mention the violence policy, because that fucking doesn't apply.
So under that, gendered violence doesn't just include sexual violence, but it also includes targeting folks based on gender. So that includes transphobia, biphobia, homophobia. All those sorts of things are protected under the policy, and so those are things that Laurier has upheld as values as well as the Ontario Human Rights Code. And so those are things that we're responsible for not.
Yeah, I know it's tough to have the words come out of your mouth and not make you sound like a fucking idiot. But maybe you should take that into consideration when you speak.
Impacting our students in that way, and not spreading transphobia.
And not spreading transphobia. Dude, people are going to believe what they believe. It's not spreading anything to just talk about something. But yeah, if people buy into it and they go, this is, yeah. But people could have bought into it either way. It was an interview. If each side makes valid points, then it's up to the viewer to decide what they think. And if one side is making ridiculous points, well, hopefully the viewer catches that shit too.
Okay, so what I have a problem with is I didn't target anybody. Who did I target?
Trans folks.
Trans folk. Because it's about trans folk.
How? By telling them ideas that are really out there? By telling them that? By telling them? Really?
It's not just telling them.
It's that it made them upset.
In legitimizing this as a valid perspective, as this is another valid perspective.
In a university, all perspectives are valid.
I like her. So, of course, this launched the inevitable free speech rally, at which, of course, she spoke.
It genuinely worries me that the Wilfrid Laurier University Rainbow Center, the Diversity and Equity Office, and some individuals of both inside and outside the campus community believe I am transphobic. I'll tell you why this worries me. There are people in this world who have personal problems with trans people, whether that is religious, moral, or a personal prejudice. A phobia, by definition, is an irrational fear of something. I am not a person who holds any prejudice. So if you are labeling someone like me transphobic, it becomes very clear to me that the leftist authoritarianism has gone too far.
Yeah, see, that's hot. That's hot. Pretty girl. It's also very smart. That's hot. But she nailed it. And the Canadians have the old English form of parliamentary government. I love that form of government. I don't really particularly think that it works fantastically, but it does kind of. But the showmanship of it is fucking awesome.
Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister join me in condemning the egregious crackdown on free speech at Laurier University?
Hear, hear.
Fucking hear, yeah, yeah. I love that shit, man. It's just, everybody stands up. It just makes me laugh. I just think it's awesome looking.
Mr. Speaker, our government is committed to creating open spaces for Canadians to debate and express their views.
Yeah, but it's not really so much anymore. And so no.
In a free society, we may disagree with the person's views, but we must defend their right to hold them, unless those views promote hate.
So then, no. Because you can't have all but not the other. People are going to promote hate. It's going to happen. And people have to make the fucking conscious decision to say, I don't buy into that, or sounds right to me. You can't control what people are going to think. You cannot control what people are going to believe. You cannot control what people are going to say. You can't. Because they're going to do it anyways. Fuck the consequences. Because it's not the way that we're wired. We don't think that way. It's not even a conscious fuck the consequences. You're just talking, and then something comes out. And somebody's going to get offended. And it's going to happen. But fucking whatever. So you got to say.
Intolerance and hate have no place in Canadian society or in our post-secondary institutions. We will continue to fight to ensure the charter rights of Canadians are upheld and that every Canadian can feel safe and secure in their community.
Hear, hear. Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
It's just the line of bullshit every time. It just sounds like the line of bullshit because that's not what you're doing. Like, that's what you say. That's not what you're doing. You're picking and choosing. These people can be uncomfortable because fuck them. But these people, we want to make sure never feel uncomfortable because they feel uncomfortable a lot.
Well, I don't know why the Prime Minister can't just simply denounce what happened at the university.
So now this is becoming a fucking worldwide, thing. Everybody's talking about it. So, of course, representative of Wilfrid Laurier had to come out and say what they think.
I want to make a very clear statement about freedom of expression at Laurier. Wilfrid Laurier University stands for and supports freedom of expression and academic freedom, unequivocally.
Do you really? Like, is that you saying we do now? Or is that like you lying? Is that an error?
Freedom of expression is core to our values. We live it in our classrooms, in our lecture halls, and in the conversations we have with our students and faculty each and every day. And it's been that way for 100 years.
And you went and fucked it up. Ugh.
At Laurier, freedom of expression means classrooms that are intellectually challenging.
As long as they don't challenge you intellectually.
They are filled with critical analysis, civil discourse, and diverse perspectives and identities.
And we'll make sure that none of them offend you.
It also means classrooms where people may experience discomfort hearing ideas they don't agree with, but understand someone's right to hold them.
And don't worry, we'll take that person aside and tell them what a bad person they are.
It does not mean intolerance. And it does not mean hate.
Unless we don't like it, and then fuck you. That's hate speech.
Recently, our university's century-old commitment to freedom of expression was called into question based on a meeting with one of our student teaching assistants. People are angry, and justifiably so. I was shocked after hearing that conversation.
Shocked that it happened, or shocked that it was recorded?
It does not represent the ethos or the practice of this university. As a professor and the leader of this university, freedom of expression is central to my own values. I will continue to listen to what people have to say and take this as an opportunity for Laurier to show leadership on an issue that is faced by universities across Canada and by society in general.
I don't know, man. Something about this all seems to me like, even now, back to business as usual. Don't you fucking dare. Because I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. Or else it becomes another one of those fucking things where they just pander to it. But they gotta try and figure out a way to make it all happen at the same time, and it doesn't fucking work. This is the problem with this kind of shit. You turning it into, you just can't talk about shit. And that doesn't work, because we're going to talk about it, because we're people. And we are more social with each other now than we've ever been before. The internet has connected us in so many ways. And all of these issues are coming up now. And people don't want to talk about it. And they don't want people to talk about it. So they're going to try and make sure that people can't talk about it. But fuck you. There will always be a way. Always. You cannot make the world fair. Sorry.
you.